Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about how I walked through Poland. After I crossed the border in Náchod, I went through a small town called Kudowa Zdroj, and it was right at the foothills of these mountains called Stolové Gory. And most of the time when I went through them, it was a walk uphill. And there were quite many different resting places where I met some Czech people and even Polish people that would understand Czech. So I could speak Czech to them and they would speak Polish and we would perfectly understand each other. So it was quite a nice experience. And as I walked, I took regular stops and sometimes I just took my shoes and socks off and I just walked barefoot on the grass and it felt really refreshing. So if you ever make any longer foot trips, then I would recommend doing this. Of course, I slept in a tent most of the time when I was outside the city, and I was quite surprised that I was never bothered by any insects, no wasps or mosquitoes or ticks or anything. Although at night I could hear that there were like wild animals running around. So it was quite interesting to be in a tent. You would not see anything. You would just hear these steps outside. How they would maybe like walk around and then they would run off. So it was quite an interesting feeling. It's like, oh, okay, I don't know what's happening outside, but I can hear it. But anyways, after I passed through Stolové Gory, I arrived at this small town called, I think it's pronounced Jeřoňov, I'm not sure. And, I actually looked behind me and I saw these mountains. It's not even in Czech Republic. It's not something I'm not really used to, because I looked behind and I saw these mountains. They looked so dramatic. So to me, that was quite new feeling, as you can see on the picture. But anyway, I continued onwards. I went to Wrocław, and sometimes it happened that on the road they would have this sign like you are not allowed to walk here along the road. So I had to go through smaller villages and even take some paths through fields. So that also gave me a little bit different view of the countryside. So it was quite interesting to discover the country, not just along the road, but also see something else. And when I arrived to Wrocław, I used couchsurfing for the first time. I stayed with this guy called Pavel and his family. And, it was quite interesting because he actually told me that he was running his business and he wanted to move it to Czech Republic because he thought that the conditions were better. And he actually he took me by car to a nearby small town which was called Glogo, and it was quite historical. They had these buildings that they were uncovering and trying to restore them, and I was like, wow, it's such a small touristy city, and there are barely any people here, but that's exactly how I would imagine some small town that is attractive to tourists that could be maybe in France or in southern Germany. It was quite impressive. And Pavel told me that because he was a family man, so he didn't really have much time for himself to relax. And most of his friends, they either had some serious relationship or they also had families. So he would not really be able to do anything with them. And I told him, okay, so we can maybe go out together and maybe make some campfire by the river. And we did it twice. And he told me, this is exactly what I needed to relax, that I would take this time off and do something like this. And so I did this for a few other people also along the way. And it felt quite good to be able to help people feel better about life. And after I left Wrocław, I headed north to Poznań. And I have to say that it's always quite interesting to look for a place to sleep, because sometimes you come to a city or some small town and there's only maybe this small forest and you would still have to hide in there and sleep. because there's basically no couch surfing or anything. Most of the time there was not even any hotel. So in just few days I arrived to Poznań, and I was quite impressed also because just like in Wrocław, they had all these historical houses restored. Everything was really neat and clean, and it was just perfect. I could even walk outside barefoot in the whole city, and it was quite interesting that in Poznań they even had in the city center they had a free Wi-Fi, so I could connect with my phone to the internet easily, and I've never seen that in any other country or in any other city here in Czech Republic. So it was really good, and I stayed with this girl. She was working as an office assistant, and she had really nice and big apartment. So the living standards were also pretty good because they had these historical buildings in the center, which looked nice, and they also had these modern buildings. And I was like, yeah, okay, I could live here because I appreciate both of that. So I would always find some nice place to go. And one of her friends also took me around the city, showed me some interesting places I would never find if I was just a tourist, like this place that used to be a brewery, and then it was turned into a marketplace. And after I left Poznań, I went west because I wanted to go to Berlin. And I have to say that the countryside in the West Poland, it reminded me of Czech Republic a lot. At least the countryside, because I mean the smaller towns, because there were still some places that were kind of desolate, and so you would have these sidewalks that would be in quite a bad shape, or buildings that would still not be restored. But all these cities that I passed before, they showed me that that the Polish are working on it, that they are really improving, and that was good. It was kind of funny that as I walked, I was always like, okay, I see this horizon in the distance, and I really want to get there because I know that it will get me somewhere. But usually when I got there, then I just saw another horizon in the distance, and I was like, okay, that's like another stage of my walk, and I would just have to get there again. And it was quite nice that even people were really kind to me. My bag broke that I had for carrying my food, and I was going to this shopping center in one of the smaller towns, and there was this girl, or like a group of girls, and one of them had this really large shopping bag, and I asked her like, okay, where can I get this bag because I would need it, and she was like, oh, okay, you can just take it. She just gave this bag to me, with no questions asked. So it was really nice of her, and it was kind of funny that that was already west of Poznan. It was already a place where people would not understand even a single word of Czech, because there was this girl that came up to me. She was doing some kind of survey or whatever. She had this paper with questions, and she started talking to me in Polish, asking me things, and I knew what she said, but I didn't know how to answer in Polish, so I just spoke Czech, and she looked really scared and just walked away. So that was quite sad. I would need to learn more Polish if I go there again. But anyways, I arrived to Kostrzyn nad Odrą, which is right at the border. And the guy that I stayed with, he showed me around. And this was also quite a touristy city, so it looked very good. And it had this historical fortress, but it was only the remains, because it was there when Germans tried to occupy Poland and so on. So that was quite interesting. And there was also this house that was built during Napoleonic times. So it was there for a couple of 100 years. And yeah, it showed, but it was quite interesting to see it, how the real house from that time looked like. And after I left the city, I only had to cross the river, because the river is basically the border between Germany and Poland. And so that would conclude my trip through Poland. That was quite There was much more that I have seen or happened, but I don't want to make this video too long. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.